I wanted to ask you something. I feel kind of dumb.
I don't feel dumb. What's up?
Okay, please don't say anything, but I need your advice. I don't know. I don't think I'm a good kisser.
Just kiss me.
What?
Just kiss me. It's not gay if we're practicing for boys, I promise.
Oh my god. Casey and Pepper were totally making out. Apparently she's a lesbian.
I kiss girls and I'm not a lesbian.
What? So what's better, kissing girls or guys? Just tell me.
Hey,
You were the reason I was bullied last year.
you're the boyfriend stealer here.
I am not and never will be a boyfriend stealer. I'm a fucking lesbian.
What? You're gay.
Yes, I am.
I thought a lot about you today, about how you made me feel beautiful and safe.
The fourth and final story functions as the emotional coda of the film, gathering together the themes of secrecy, punishment, devotion, and endurance that have threaded through the previous narratives and allowing them to crystallize into something quieter, more reflective, and ultimately more hopeful, as Miley and Courtney's relationship is framed not through confrontation or gossip, but through memory, absence, and the ache of separation imposed by authority. Unlike the earlier scenes, which unfold in dialogue and present-tense conflict, this one is mediated through a letter, a form that has long carried the weight of forbidden or constrained love, and that choice alone signals the film's investment in interiority over spectacle, inviting the audience to listen rather than watch, to feel rather than judge. Courtney's letter is suffused with longing and reverence, not only for Miley herself, but for the version of herself she was allowed to be in Miley's presence. And this distinction matters deeply for queer audiences because it recognizes that queer love often does more than provide companionship. It creates a mirror in which one's own worth, beauty, and legitimacy are first reflected back without distortion. When Courtney writes that Miley made her feel beautiful, she is naming something that many queer women experience as revelatory. The realization that desire from another woman can feel safer, more affirming, and less conditional than the attention they have been taught to seek elsewhere, not because it is inherently superior, but because it exists outside scripts that have historically objectified or diminished them. The memory of sneaking away together situates their love within a familiar narrative of adolescent rebellion. Yet the film carefully reframes that rebellion not as delinquency, but as self-preservation, showing how young queer women often carve out private spaces to breathe in environments that refuse to make room for them. The language Courtney uses to describe their connection is emotional rather than explicit, emphasizing sensation and disorientation rather than acts, which keeps the focus firmly on what the relationship meant rather than what it looked like. And this choice reinforces the film's consistent refusal to commodify queer intimacy. Her struggle to articulate the feeling, likening it to intoxication without fully capturing it, speaks to the ineffability of first love and to the particular challenge queer women face in naming experiences for which they have rarely been given language or models. The letter also introduces the figure of the stepmother as an embodiment of institutional control, not merely a villainous individual but a stand-in for the broader systems, family, school, morality, that intervene when queer love becomes visible, and the repetition of if only underscores how abruptly and arbitrarily that intervention can occur, severing connection without regard for emotional consequence. Courtney's exile to boarding school is portrayed not as discipline but as erasure, an attempt to rewrite her story by removing the person who made it legible to her. And this resonates painfully with queer viewers who have experienced separation, conversion efforts, or forced silence under the guise of care. Yet the film does not allow this separation to be the final word. Instead, it lingers on the persistence of love across distance, on the way memory becomes a lifeline when physical proximity is denied, and on the quiet defiance of continuing to believe in a shared future even when the present is hostile. Miley's response, simple and unadorned, mirrors the emotional honesty that has characterized her role throughout the story. And in that brevity lies its power, because it suggests that love does not always need elaboration to be real, especially when it has already been tested by law. Taken together, their exchange offers a counter-narrative to the idea that queer love among young women is fleeting or unserious, presenting it instead as something capable of endurance, reflection, and mutual recognition, even under pressure. When viewed alongside the earlier stories, this final scene reframes the entire film as an exploration of different stages of queer becoming: the tentative curiosity of Pepper and Casey, the joking deflection and partial truth of Belle and Lola, the painful reckoning and self-assertion of Zoe, and finally the sustained devotion of Miley and Courtney, each story illuminating a different way women navigate desire in contexts that alternately invite and punish it. The film's choice to end on written words rather than spoken confrontation feels deliberate, as if to honor the many queer women whose most honest expressions have historically existed in letters, diaries, and unsent messages rather than in public declarations. And this gesture situates the film within a lineage of queer storytelling that values survival and continuity over triumph. For women watching, regardless of sexual orientation, Miley and Courtney's story may resonate as a meditation on first love, on the pain of being separated from someone who made you feel whole, and on the resilience required to carry that love forward without knowing when or if it will be returned to you in the same form. While for lesbian and broader LGBTQ+ audiences, it also carries the additional weight of recognition, acknowledging how often queer love is interrupted not because it is harmful, but because it threatens norms that rely on women's emotional lives being carefully regulated. The discomfort society displays toward women expressing love for each other is laid bare here, not through ridicule or debate, but through consequence. The punishment of separation, the invocation of authority, and the insistence that such love must be managed, hidden, or displaced, and the film suggests that this discomfort persists because queer women's love challenges the idea that intimacy must be supervised to be valid. By allowing Miley and Courtney's bond to remain tender, earnest, and unresolved rather than scandalized or sensationalized, the film refuses to participate in narratives that frame queer love as a problem to be solved, instead presenting it as a truth to be lived with, even when circumstances make that living difficult. Symbolically, Courtney represents the voice of memory and articulation, the one who names the love and preserves it through language, while Miley embodies constancy and reception, the assurance that being loved was not a delusion or a phase, and together they model a relational dynamic grounded in mutual affirmation rather than imbalance. Their story mirrors the real-world pressure on queer women to minimize their feelings by treating them as youthful indiscretions or temporary confusion. And by taking those feelings seriously, the film affirms that early queer love can be formative, meaningful, and worthy of respect. In closing the film with this story, the narrative arcs away from the immediacy of conflict toward the longer view of endurance, suggesting that visibility is not only about being seen in the moment, but about being remembered accurately, held with care, and allowed to shape who we become. For an audience of women and LGBTQ+ viewers seeking authenticity, this final scene offers not spectacle but solace, reminding us that even when queer love is interrupted, it is not erased, and that the act of loving, of being known and cherished by another woman, leaves an indelible mark that no authority can fully undo, making the film as a whole a testament to the quiet, persistent truth of women's emotional lives and the courage it takes to honor them. The